Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from beautiful fall time in Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Mark, sitting in for Frank.
Yes, you are, and I'm Dan, and I'm just me.
Just sitting.
I almost made the same joke I made last time, but that would have been recycling of jokes.
Yeah, you gotta keep it fresh, baby.
People are all about recycling, but boy, you tell the same joke twice, and they're on you like crazy.
You're like Buddy Hackett, just same old joke every week.
I don't know what that's a reference to, but I believe you.
Buddy Hackett?
Well, I know who Buddy
Come
Hackett
on,
is.
baby.
Did he make the same joke every
Well,
week?
he's one of those Borscht Belt kind of guys.
Oh,
It's
sure.
like, take my wife.
Please.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. Well, there you go. Coming up today, we're going to be talking about your group, our group. We're going to be talking about groups
Yep.
and in-group versus out-group people. And
Groups, what are they and how do they work?
we'll explain what a group is.
Yes.
That's going to be great.
Because if you're listening to a podcast, you probably don't belong to a group. You're a lonesome fellow.
You're just alone somewhere in the world, floating through space. All right. So anyway, yeah, we'll be talking about. I don't even know how to describe it. I promise it'll be interesting though.
It's a freewheeling discussion.
We'll be.
There'll be role playing.
Yeah, sure.
There'll be characters.
Yeah, I'll do an accent or two.
Some old, some new.
It'll be great.
Yeah,
But that's later on. You don't get to hear that now.
We'll see.
We'll save that joy for the end of the show.
Yes.
For now, I'll start us off. I'm
Yeah.
going to launch us.
Lay it on me, baby.
This is an interesting thing. Apparently, there has been a precipitous drop in religious giving over the past several years.
Oh.
It's been going down. It has not gone down this hard since the Depression.
This is not a drop in religious giving shit to people,
No,
because that's on the uptick.
that you can never get enough.
You're talking about generosity, charity,
I am.
sharing of goods and services, and monies.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Apparently, per member giving as a percentage of income
Yeah.
has declined for the fifth time in 6 years. It doesn't seem like it's that huge a deal. It's like it fell from 2.51% in 2007 to 2.17% in 2013. I don't think we have up-to-date in numbers.
And this is U.S. America?
Yes. Here in these United States, according to Empty Tomb, Inc., which is a Champaign, Illinois-based research organization.
Empty Tomb Inc. So it's clear it's Christian.
Yeah, they must be.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's I just thought that was an interesting thing. I mean, fewer and fewer people are religious, so that's gonna account for a lot of that.
That could contribute.
And also, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing: the religious claim philanthropy as sort of their deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you see all these Pew polls where, like, they'll say, 73% of American giving goes to groups with religious ties because religion. And it's really more like, well, what other groups are there?
Right.
Do we have and also, like, you can't. The other thing is, like, churches consider tithes to be philanthropic,
Which is balderdash.
which is nonsense.
Yeah, it's balderdash.
So if you take the membership dues out of that figure, who knows what it would look like?
Well, and they don't have to report, so
Right.
So who knows? But what's interesting about that is in the past few years, unemployment has gone down considerably. The economy's on the uptick.
Yeah.
So something else must be at
This isn't
the root of it.
Yeah. It is. I mean, that period of time is sort of when the economy really had some struggles, but it seems to be continuing downward, and that's actually a really big deal.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So there's some churches that are going to be in trouble. We're going to start. I mean, actually, we've seen the close of some mega churches and some things recently, and the Catholic Church is struggling. They're closing some churches too.
Well, they're directing a lot of their finances towards something else. A lot of their churches are closing. What? Because the priests have some wandering hands.
Well, that does tend to happen.
Did you see that there was I think the statistic I saw was like $3 billion so far in payouts
Really?
by the Catholic Church. They've tried to keep it secret, but some investigative reporter kind of accumulated everything they could find.
Wow.
And it's into the billions and continuing.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, wow. Literally, my brain, I'm like shuffling through the Rolodex of jokes and like throwing out every single one that I have. Like I'm like, well, here's a good joke. Nope, can't make that one. Here's a good joke. No, it's not funny to make. You can't make that much explicit fun of pedophilia.
Oh, let's do it. You know, at let's say at $5 a case. You know,
yeah.
It's not really as isolated as you think.
If it's $5 a case, then no, it's not.
5 to 10. Yeah.
If it's about $5 a case, then I think I must have been molested by just statistically.
Yeah.
I was molested by a Catholic priest.
It would probably be like half the world's population.
all of the everybody. If you don't know about it, it's only because it happened in your sleep.
Yeah, if you haven't been molested by a Catholic priest, based on those stats, you are a Catholic priest.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And yeah. Well, there you go. Congratulations, everybody, on being Catholic priests.
And yay, I don't know, yay, charitable donations going down? I don't know.
I'm happy with, like, tithing going down.
Yes.
But, and also, like, God, you think you want to support charities, but then it's like, we're going to go in and help the victims of the Haitian earthquake.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, I'll give you money. And they're like, here, victims, a Bible.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, I want my money back, and can I punch you in the nose?
Yeah,
Can I do that?
Unless the Bible's made of food,
right? Exactly,
or medicine, it's bullshit.
It's a meat Bible. Enjoy
the meat Bible. You're welcome, Haiti.
It's made of lamb.
Well,
It's the Lamb of God.
Should I bring us closer to home?
Please do.
All right. So, yeah, it's been a week here in Zion, here in Salt Lake City, and
since the big announcement of the horrible, hateful things.
Since the
We Hate Babies campaign.
Yeah, since Mormons kicked babies to the curb and down the storm drain. The hits keep on coming, baby.
Oh yeah.
It turns out that a Utah judge ordered a same-sex couple to give up a foster child. Says the baby would be better off with heterosexual parents, citing research.
Ooh, good. Well, hey, research. That's
but would not share or name the research.
Well, that may be a little more troubling.
Yeah, I think that we can safely assume this research can be traced back to
the Sutherland Institute,
to a real shitbird we've talked about on this show before, a guy named Mark Regnerus.
Oh yeah,
who claimed to have interviewed over 1,000 children raised by same-sex parents, and that it was all negative. And it turns out he talked to, I think it was 3, or it might have been 1 person raised by same. So he's lying.
I mean, it's funny because as these courts were sort of making their way through as these what do you call the thing that goes to a court?
The cases?
Cases.
Yes.
Going through the courts, we heard this guy's name come up a lot, and then get immediately dismissed.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact,
laughed out of the courtroom.
And as a matter of fact, like at one point, the Utah case, Kitchen versus Herbert, the state had to retract.
Right.
They had a filing about his thing, and then like somebody pointed out, oh, by the way, this makes you look like an idiot.
He's a fraud.
And so they actually literally retracted it.
Right.
The state of Utah.
And
did.
he was the imagine how crazy this is. In all of the tumult about marriage equality, he was the only academic study that anybody was quoting on the opposing side.
Right. And there are ample studies in the pro side.
Right.
Like there is literally no academic study that says that there's any harm done to a child by being raised by the gays.
Germane to this case, many studies cited children raised by 2 women, by lesbian parents, as having greater outcomes than the rest of the field.
Right.
It's having statistically a little better. So here are these 2 women that have they live in Price, which is a regrettable little town in the middle of the state, and that's probably why this judge is an asshole. They had 2 children already that they were raising, and this was a baby that had been placed with them because the mother couldn't take care of it. I can't remember how old the baby is. I'm looking right now, but
baby age,
1-year-old girl.
Okay.
They've had her for 3 months, and they said it's going great. Like they're happy to have her, and the baby's happy in the home, and the other children love the baby.
Okay.
The guardian ad litem, if that's how you say that Latin,
good enough for me.
And Division of Child and Family Services are all very happy with the situation the baby's in, and the mother.
The biological
mother, who is in the process of signing away her rights to this child. For whatever reason, I don't know what her situation is.
Right.
She's happy with the placement of the baby.
With these women.
Yeah.
Okay.
Baby's happy. Foster parents happy. Real parent happy. State happy. Everybody. Then along comes Judge Dick.
Judge Doofus
and orders this child in 7 days. The guardian has to find a new home for this child, and won't cite what research he has that he says is boilerplate. It absolutely says that they'd be better off with a heterosexual.
And he's just saying, I don't care who they go to as long as they're not queer.
Yeah,
I don't care who this baby goes to.
And one has to wonder if he feels that he's got a little more cover for that abominable position because of what the elders of his church basically have said about queer parents.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of amazing. I don't know. Is it legal? Have you read anything that says whether or not that's a legal position for him to take?
Well, I just read a headline that said Governor Herbert of the state of Utah.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's his first name or his last name. I think it's just one name. I think he's
Herbert.
Herbert.
His name is Herbert.
Yeah, he deserves to be just Herbert. Says he is puzzled by the ruling, but Herbert is puzzled by everything.
Well, he's easily puzzled.
He's easily puzzled.
They
don't there's no shiny objects in his office because he's pretty distractible. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure they're filing an appeal, and definitely wish them the best of luck and hope that this judge is sent to live with some queer parents.
Yeah. That's ugliness.
Yeah.
But at least that child is now safe from that loving environment.
Yeah.
God bless him.
Phew.
Thank God.
Crisis averted.
Well, I'm going to take us all the way across the waters to Japan. So Japan, what do you know anything about the dominant religions of Japan?
Well, a little. I would guess Buddhism is in the top 20.
Yes,
and I know that and Shinto belief I think is not Buddhist. Is that correct?
That's correct. They are two different things. However, my understanding is that most Japanese people identify as both Shinto and Buddhist.
Oh, they're bi-religious.
They are, or at least bi-curious.
Right.
So this has sort of been this interesting arrangement, and I think the deal is that traditionally Japanese people have a Shinto wedding and a Buddhist funeral, because Buddhism's about sort of the eternal and Shinto's about the present or whatever.
That's very cool. Yeah.
It's a very interesting sort of mix of things. But it seems to be that Buddhism is kind of going the way of the dodo over there. Well, I mean, I don't know that they ever had dodos in Japan, but if they did,
no, those are in the Indian Ocean.
They're gone.
Yeah,
from now.
Yeah,
and Buddhism is the Japanese are.
It's going the way of the samurai, is what you're saying.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
fine. Just improve my metaphor then.
It was fierce for a while, but now it's just kind of mostly in museums.
Yeah, I don't know that Buddhism was that fierce, but maybe samurai were probably Buddhists.
I mean, fierce and it was.
In that Abercrombie and Fitch sort of way.
Yeah. Never sword wielding fierce. Although there is Buddhist violence. I think that's important to point out. Yes.
Absolutely. But it's interesting. It looks like over the next 25 years, 27,000 of the country's 77,000 temples are expected to close.
Really? Buddhist temples?
Yeah.
In how long? 20 years?
Over the next 25 years.
That's almost, what is that, a third?
Yeah. It's in that range, in that area.
Sheesh.
I don't do maths.
So are they leaving Buddhism for something else, or are they just kind of?
It doesn't seem to be that it's that. It's just that Buddhism doesn't demand a lot of you in terms of like, there's no baptism into Buddhism or whatever, to my knowledge. I don't know much about Zen.
It doesn't seem like they have as many meetings as Mormons do.
Right. But like there are these temples all over Japan that they're not able to sustain themselves.
Wow.
Even the funeral industry, which is sort of their big gig, is not covering the costs.
Huh.
So apparently apparently to hold a traditional funeral, it's millions of yen, which is probably at least $100. I don't know how that exchange works.
It's probably more.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. Everything in Japan is more.
And so a lot of people can't afford it, so they're not doing the traditional Buddhist ceremony, and so everything's just sort of gone a little squirrely over there with the Zen.
Huh. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, the monks are apparently not pulling their weight.
We got destitute monks.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I gotta say, I don't weep for a world where monk and priest unemployment is high.
Yeah, it seems it's. Although I feel like there's a space where I would enjoy there to be a non-religious equivalent. People who we pay to be good thinkers. Just sort of the town philosopher or philosophers.
Well, it's interesting we're talking about Japan right now because they have a bit of a program for that, which is they declare people national treasures.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think there's a stipend. I think there's, maybe it's not an income, but it's a little.
We'll pay. Just keep treasuring, and we'll pay you.
It's a little lagniappe to kind of, do your thing. And it's a lot of artists and poets and writers and.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I think that's a great idea.
I'm all about that.
Yeah.
I support that idea a lot. And I just like the idea, like, maybe I'm getting very Alain Breton about the whole thing. A little atheism 2.0 here, but I feel like we don't need to throw all of the baby out with the bathwater in terms of what religion has to offer. I feel like, a lot of people have found benefit in weekly service from the old atheist community. So there are atheist services out there. I don't know that I would go if there were a good one here. I might, but I have enjoyed going to religious services where someone who has trained. Mormonism doesn't count in this, but like if you go to the Unitarian Church and hear old Reverend Tom give a sermon, and he's invoking Thoreau, and he's invoking, great thinkers throughout the histories, and he's just touching something human. That means something to me.
Sure.
And I think that void could be filled in a secular way, so
I think all of that is possible without any religion.
Yes, I agree.
But we've allowed religion to kind of try to corner that market, and fool people into thinking that only the profound only exists between these hours on Sunday in this building.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And it's only whatever they say it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyway,
all right.
Get your Zen while you can, because.
Well, I'm going to bring us back westerly ways.
Yes.
Returning from Japan, but we're going to make a brief stop.
Ooh.
In the Galapagos Islands.
Well, howdy do.
Yeah. So this is cool. This is the Galapagos by way of the interpretation of the amazing mind of one Charles Darwin.
I've heard of him.
It turns out, I just read a study from The Guardian that On the Origin of Species has been voted the most influential academic book in history.
Wow.
Yeah. That's cool, isn't it?
That makes sense to me.
I'll read you a little bit of this article. It says, after a list of the top 20 academic books was pulled together by expert academic booksellers, librarians, and publishers to mark the inaugural Academic Book Week
Oh yes, I never miss academic.
Never
book week.
miss. I just go there to see an author crash.
Oh, it's
The public was asked to vote on what they believed to be the most influential, with titles in the running including A Vindication of the Rights of Woman by Mary Wollstonecraft, George Orwell's novel 1984, and Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations. Darwin's explanation of his theory of evolution was the public's overwhelming favorite with 26% of the vote.
It had some influence, that book.
Yeah, and one of the academics who kind of put the list together said, yeah, absolutely it is, because it changed the way we think about everything.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it probably was one of the things that helped to really codify the scientific method.
Well, absolutely. It did that, and it also, ruined everything for everybody.
It did.
It kind of broke everyone's brain permanently for a while there.
Yeah, I like how, it was when it was published 100 years ago plus, and we're not still fighting about it.
No. Thankfully, it's all settled.
It's all settled.
We're all very happy and free in our acknowledgement of
The truth of it.
the truth of
Yeah.
evolution by natural selection.
And always my favorite thing to observe about it is how religious people who demand no proof for the Bible keep demanding further and further proofs of the truths laid out on the origin of the species.
Yeah. It's funny. I don't know if you've ever been to. I assume you're a widely traveled man.
Yeah, ish.
And I assume you've been to Westminster Abbey in London.
Oh yeah.
Where Mr. Darwin is buried.
Yes.
And first of all, he's in the sort of sciencey section.
Is Isaac Newton there?
I think Newton.
Yeah.
Well, Newton might be in a. I'm not sure who's there. There's a sciencey section. A lot of sciencey people. But there's a sort of. It strikes me as probably an apocryphal story, but if you're standing, sort of on one side of his grave and you look to your right up on the wall, there's a little devil guy, little decoration, and it's sticking his tongue out. And if you follow the tongue, it's pointing down to Darwin's grave. So there's.
He started life as a religious man. He wanted to be a country vicar.
He ended life as a religious man. He never renounced his religion.
I think you're wrong.
Really?
Yeah, I think you're wrong. He did, in fact, a letter just sold at auction, a handwritten letter of his, where he basically said he was not a believer.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I could be wrong. I fully admit that, as I claim no expertise.
There's going to be some email.
Yeah, well,
about Charles Darwin, man of God.
Charles Darwin. Well, I mean, the thing is that at very least, he didn't. Yeah, he was a religious person. He went into the whole thing. He didn't go into it with the goal of disproving God or anything.
Not at all.
He's just hey, look at those finches. Have you guys noticed this thing about these finches?
Yeah. And as a young man, in the countryside, he liked splicing. So he liked, splicing rose species and flower species.
Right.
And I think that probably was a good foundation for, things can change.
Right. Yeah, exactly. If I can put this plum branch onto a peach tree,
right,
and it can still grow plums,
right.
What is that doing?
Right.
What are we talking about here?
Work. The environment can change something.
Yeah. So there you go. It was a book. It was a very influential book.
Very.
I don't know how you could argue against that. Do you know what its competition was?
Yeah. I just closed the page, but it was A Brief History of Time. It was what was the name of Einstein's book on relativity? It was The Prince by Machiavelli. As I said, 1984, and some ones I never read.
Yeah,
so they don't matter.
So who the fuck cares?
Right.
Fuck it.
But the arts degree I dropped out of did not require
so strange
a lot of those deeper reads.
So strange.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to move us on to from the Galapagos Islands. I'm going to take us inward to our brains. You know how we've
the
got
archipelago of the self
of the you.
Yes,
of what you are. It turns out that our brains are physical things that are subject to manipulation. from physical forces, not
What?
just from other people's emotional states.
What?
There's a technique known as transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS, where they just shoot magnets into your brain, apparently.
From a gun?
Well, a magnet gun. I mean, they don't shoot a magnet in. They use magnets at you.
Oh, God. Okay, that's better.
Yeah. And apparently they use it now to treat depression. And, you know, they're testing it for other things. What it can do, I guess, is something along the lines, and, you know, somebody listening is probably a neuroscientist, so they'll be able to correct us. But you can target a specific part of the brain and make it slow down its functioning. Like, you can make it sort of not function much.
I thought this was going to be some Deepak Chopra woo.
No.
A woo machine. It's
no,
not?
This
is a thing?
This is real science.
Oh.
We're doing real science here.
Oh.
Yeah, so apparently...
Well, then why are we talking about it?
Well, I'm getting there.
Okay.
One of the things... So people who practice this noticed something. Apparently there were reports, and so they tested this. Apparently, if they do this to a very specific part of the brain, it reduces religiosity.
Oh my God.
What they found is that let's see.
But
can I find the part of the brain? The thing. So they did a study, and they gave one group of people actual treatments and another group of people fake treatments, and they reminded people of death. As they're doing this, because apparently previous research has shown that people turn to religion for comfort in the face of death.
Right.
Even people who are sort of wishy-washy or waffling on the whole idea. Once death starts to come up, people are more inclined to start using believing terms. And they said that they found that people, once they were subjected to this, not only yes, they were less likely to turn to belief to religion for comfort. Also, strangely, they were more. They had more compassion for like illegal immigrants.
What?
There's a 28.5% increase in positive attitude toward immigrants. They said we saw a less negative, less ideologically motivated reaction to a critical author and his opinions.
What?
So
can we mount this machine on aircraft and just fly over everything west of like Oakland or everything east of Oakland and everything west of, say, DC?
Well, part of what led me to this research was and I wish I had it. I have since lost this link, but some religious nutball was like really worried that this was a conspiracy of atheist scientists to start taking away your Christianness by zapping you with the magnets.
Well, we're
going to zap you with the magnets.
I'm not totally averse to this conspiracy. Like even if we don't take it away, just turn it the fuck down. Like,
yeah,
take it off a high boil and just get it to a kind of hateful simmer. I think we'd be a much better country.
Yeah, I do think that, and I think that it could be a very good thing. But what we don't want is for people to feel like we've zapped them into nobody would feel good about. I've changed my position because someone fucked with my brain.
Well, that's why we don't tell anybody. So we just drive around with it in a van and just broadcast into neighborhood. Mew, 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 mew.
Just walk up and, the black bag goes over,
yeah,
Glenn Beck's head, and then it's just like,
right. Or you're sitting there watching television, and then all of a sudden all your forks stick to the window for a minute, and then that was weird. Well, I know it wasn't Jesus for some reason.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I'm very frightened. But I think I'm going to turn to science.
That's a spectacular... that's so crazy how specific...
Right.
Is it the amygdala?
It is... Let's see.
The hippocampus. The corpus callosum.
It's all of them. It's in the back.
I think that's maybe the amygdala, because I think that has a lot to do with anger. Like it's a primitive little nubbin.
Yeah.
And I think anger and fear and religiosity are all kind of in the orbit.
They reduced activity in the posterior medial frontal cortex. Posterior. Wait,
that means the back, the medium, and the front.
Right? Yeah, the back, the middle, and the front cortex. You know,
we just nuked their brains.
You know the whole brain.
Yeah, all of it.
You know the cortex that involves the rear, the front, and the middle.
What part didn't you hit with the magnet?
Wait a minute. Did they just kill these people?
That's crazy.
They're like, these people are way less religious now. Also, they're less alive.
That's so funny. You know, a dear friend of mine came out to his dad as gay.
Oh, dear.
Many years ago, right? And his dad went through this whole process, all the grieving.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're not. So he did the 12 stages of grief. It took like 5 years.
Right.
His dad had a stroke.
Oh, dear.
Forgot the whole thing.
Oh, no.
So my buddy had to come out to his dad again.
No, really?
And it was just like he'd hit rewind. Like,
oh, no.
Oh, and he's like, Dad, I already told you this. He's like, no, you never told me this.
Oh, shit.
Isn't that hilarious?
Oh.
Yeah. So just whatever little part of his brain remembered my buddy coming out was gone, got wiped out.
God. That is a nightmare.
Yeah. I'm going to hit him with a magnet.
Just magnetize that fella.
Doom.
We just, Doc, can you get the magnets in here? He's, we can't go through this again.
That's so funny.
It's just too painful.
All right. Well, speaking of gay people and coming out and brain damage.
Yeah.
Ray Comfort, our friend, our Kiwi obsessed with the wee.
The aptly named Ray Comfort, because he comforts me.
Ray is uncomfortable.
He's all about comfort. He's all about making everybody feel really good.
So this ding dong is this friend of Kirk Cameron's, the kind of former actor that now makes the Left Behind movies.
Right.
Ray's the Kiwi whose proof that there was no what was it? His proof that there's no evolution, no such thing as evolution, is that a banana fits perfectly into a man's hand.
Right. Yeah.
So he's that guy,
and it's got a zipper opening and stuff.
Yeah, I realize the cosmic crime I have committed by talking about Charles Darwin and Ray Comfort in the same universe of time.
No, I like it. I like it.
So he's apparently teaching Christians how to sit next to gay people on airplanes.
Oh, thank God. I've been wondering about that.
Yeah.
Is there a way? Is it useful also if I have to sit next to gay people across from them during a podcast?
Imagine if we were on a plane.
I can't.
And I have to sit in the same seat as a gay guy every time I fly, and I'm just about fit to be tied. So New Zealand activist Ray Comfort joined Jerry Newcomb this week to discuss his new movie Audacity, which, if you haven't seen, don't.
Yeah.
Which delivers an unexpected, eye-opening look at the controversial topic of homosexuality.
It is a controversy.
Yeah, controversy.
Like the topic isn't like something surrounding homosexuality. It's just homosexuality.
Yeah, it's controversial. So Comfort explained to Newcomb that he was initially reluctant to make a movie about homosexuality, but decided he had to do so after he sat next to a gay man on an airplane and didn't know how to handle the situation. Every time I'm confronted with a strange thing on an airplane, I'm like, I better goddamn make a movie about this.
I love the idea that like the dilemma is there's a gay man next to me.
Yeah.
What do I do?
What do I do?
What do I do with my hands? Do I have to give him a hand job? Do I pull my penis out? Is that what I'm supposed to do? I don't know.
It's like, let's say you met Hitler. What do you do? I don't know. So he said, he's quoted as, I was flying. Should I do it in his Kiwi accent?
If you can.
Oh, it's so hard. I was flying from Germany to London, sit next to a middle-aged gentleman. He recalled, I said, how you doing? He says, good. I says,
you have to stop the accent. Understand.
It's totally unintelligible. How you doing? He says. Good, I says. You got a family? He says. I have a husband. It was like, oh, where do I go from here? Do I say, oh, that's nice. Tell me about him or what? And it was awkward. Imagine what it would be like for the average Christian who isn't kind of confrontational, he said. And I realized there's a real need to show Christians how to relate to homosexuality.
Oh, my God.
So
Wait, so what he just said would imply that he's trying to teach people how to relate to homosexuals.
But
I
he's
don't
not.
think that's what he's going for.
No.
I think he misspoke.
So what he does in his movie is he confronts people and then basically on the street, he's like a street preacher, and he films this for YouTube.
Oh my God.
And he's like, "You're going to hell. You like that? You feel good about that?" And they're like, goodbye.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, I feel like this was less informative than I wanted it to be. So
Did you watch the videos?
oh, have you never seen any of his videos? They're insane. And it's just, it's when you talk to a crazy person and the smile starts to get a little bit weird and you're like, okay. Okay.
Right.
Oh, I have to, yeah.
I've got a thing.
Yeah. So,
And that thing is that I'm allergic to you.
yeah. So that's Ray on a plane,
Oh my God.
people.
Yeah, I don't know what I would say if I was next to Ray Comfort on a plane. If I recognized him and he was like, "Hey," and he struck up a conversation, I think my mind would start racing for the worst things I could tell him.
You should ask him to go down on a banana to disprove
Right, yeah.
the origin of the species.
Or just say, "I totally agree with you, by the way, about that whole banana thing, because here's how I know that God is real."
Huh.
The banana thing proves that he's real.
Yeah.
And the fact that it fits down my throat so perfectly proves that God loves gay men.
Yeah. It goes down my throat and up my butt.
It goes everywhere. It's the most comfortable fuck you'll ever have in your life.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Ray Comfort.
Woohoo.
God loves the gays.
And then open the exit and push him out.
and then just push.
Say, where's your God now?
Yeah, exactly. If God, yeah, well,
He'd meant you to have wings if you were flying.
exactly. Well, so if you have anything you'd like to add to this conversation, dear listener, you can do so. You can go to the interwebs and type in podcast at thankgodimatheist.com, and that'll get you an email here to us. Or go to take to the phones. Our number is 424-666-8442. Man, when Frank's not here,
Operators are standing by.
That's right. Robot operators.
This is a limited offer.
Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. And also ask to join the members only lounge, where I am dutifully trudging through the backlog of people and day by day making it shorter and shorter. So there you go. We're going to hear from one Donald J. Trump. You may have heard of him. He's a peach of a character, and had some stuff to say about the impending Christmas season.
Yes.
People graduate now from college. One of the biggest questions I get when I go around are students. They go to college, they do well, they borrow money up to here, they get through and they can't get a job, and now they owe money, and the country wants to go after them. The country wants to go after these kids. And what has the country done? They've given jobs out to everybody else. Today I read, and I have Starbucks, they're my tenants. Did you read about Starbucks? No more Merry Christmas on Starbucks. No more. I wouldn't buy. Hey, look, I'm speaking against myself. I have one of the most successful Starbucks in Trump Tower. Maybe we should boycott Starbucks. I don't know. Seriously. I don't care. By the way, that's the end of that lease, but who cares? Who cares? Who cares? But today, a big story that Starbucks is taking Merry Christmas off. No more Merry Christmas. I will tell you, lots of big things, lots of little things. You can call this anything you want. But if I become president, we're all going to be saying Merry Christmas again. That I can tell you. That I can tell you. Unbelievable.
Wow.
He's amazing.
He is a Simpsons character rendered in the flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you even write that? You can't fictionalize that. That's only in real life can you be that bad.
And I think what I've heard, and it's obvious listening to him talk, he doesn't write anything. He has no prepared speech. He just gets up there and riffs.
Clearly.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll just pander. I'll just blatantly, openly pander.
Yeah.
And he does it so brilliantly. Maybe we should boycott him. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I
don't care. Hey, you know what? They're gonna. There goes that lease. They're gonna back out of their Trump Towers now. I don't care.
Yeah, I'll just declare bankruptcy.
Look at me. I don't give a fuck. Do you see how many fucks I'm not giving right now?
Trump don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It starts from he clearly has the religious impulses of a doorknob. We talk.
He doesn't give a fuck about.
He does not give a fuck
about religion. But what he does, what's amazing to me is he clearly doesn't even know what's actually happening. Because what did he say? He said there's no more Christmas on Starbucks.
What does that even mean?
What are you talking about? All that happened was Starbucks removed, trees and deer from their cups.
Yeah.
For the Christmas season.
Yeah.
Trees and deer are not Christmas. They're not religious symbols.
No, it's just.
Well, I don't think that the employees are supposed to say Merry Christmas to you. Maybe they can respond, but they're not supposed to just say it to everybody.
Okay, I am a dyed-in-the-wool atheist.
Yeah,
and I know you're somewhere on the spectrum of you're atheist curious at least.
I have been known to make comments that could be interpreted as
carelessly interpreted, but. Honestly, when someone says Merry Christmas to you, how mad do you get?
0. I say thank you.
And oftentimes, I will say Merry Christmas back.
Sure.
Because I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
Yeah.
No, I care about nativity scenes on public property.
Yeah.
I care about, public prayers at taxpayer, public meetings.
Well, and if, honestly, if a company, if a store or something had a policy where they had to say Merry Christmas to me, I would be offended by that because because fuck you.
It's bullshit. And why should you force your employees to do that?
Right. And you don't care about your Jewish or your atheist or your Islamic or your whatever customers. All you care about is your Christian customers. You're just going to make us all default Christians.
Yeah.
That's some bullshit.
It's just so doubly disingenuous coming from fucking Donald Trump.
Well, and the worst, exactly. And this was just sort of a preview of what's to come in the next couple months.
We're in negotiations to prepare a Christmas special.
Well, yeah, we'll see what we can come up with here. Yeah. But no matter what, you're going to start hearing all the old tropes about how Christmas, how they're trying to get rid of Christmas.
Yeah, Bill O'Reilly he hasn't even weighed in yet, so it's going to be a long season.
He's going to pounce. He's waiting for just the right moment.
Yeah. So it's going to be big, but fuck Donald Trump.
Oh my God, that man. I don't even know what to say about him. Like the existence of him is just is everything wrong with humanity?
Yeah, it makes me wonder if we're even real, if we're in a universe where that can happen.
Is this real life?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, we had some folks write into us, so I'm going to pull those up, and then I'll read their emails. Zach wrote in. This is actually because we skipped emails last week, so this is a reference to 2 episodes ago. Says, I'm more than a little intrigued by the last segment of this week's episode. You said that you were against people essentially stooping down to the level of the Christians, like by refusing to service to them. I know you mostly have positive things to say about the Satanic Temple, especially when they stoop to the prayer levels of the Christian majority. I didn't know that there was talk about not serving Christians, so I definitely don't have anything but an emotional reaction to it. I was just wondering what, if any, distinction there is between those two ideas and what the line is as you see it. So, eternally curious, Zach.
So you guys had a conversation about whether it was whether it was ethical, I guess, to take certain actions against the people that came to the World Conference of Families.
Right. The World Conference of Families was being held here in Salt Lake City, and it is a conference that, among many, many other things, has taken a very hard line against the homosexuals, to the point where certain of their members and they as a group have advocated for. In Uganda, they were on the
death sentence.
Death sentence for homosexuality thing.
Yeah. It's a hate group, and there's really no question. It's really not a quibblable
right
thing.
And now that doesn't mean that everybody that goes to that conference wants the death penalty for gays.
No,
it does, and it does.
no, certainly not.
But here's the thing. So what Frank and I were talking about was, do we do what the Christians have done, which the Christians keep making big hay about, I'm being forced to make a wedding cake for queers, and
Right.
I'm being forced to blah, blah, blah. And, there are lawsuits involved and stuff. Because if you are open to the public as a service,
Yeah.
you have to serve the fucking public. That's how this works. That's how all of those signs that say we reserve the right to refuse service to anybody don't mean anything because you don't have that right. That's
Yeah.
not a right that you have.
Yeah, and I think that was the gist of your conversation with Frank. Is,
But we also talked about the fact that, you're allowed to disagree with me. We're allowed. The United States is meant to be a place where your disagreement with me doesn't mean that that you're now an invalid part of our society.
yeah, I think that it seemed like there were calls for, like, if you had a business to not let. First of all, I don't know how you'd know who these people were.
Right.
A lot of convention goers wear tags and stuff like that.
Sure.
Maybe that's how you single them out.
Right.
I get the emotional impulse.
Sure.
I get the rage.
Yeah.
Believe me, I get all that.
I
but,
do too.
But that is just yes, it is stooping to what they would the exclusionary. You have cooties. You can't come near me. Kind of shit that good people have put up with from the religious right for years.
Right.
And it is also entirely un-American, and it is entirely illegal.
Yeah.
So yeah, let them eat at your restaurant. But you know what? If you want to put up a sign that says "We support all families,"
Right.
in your restaurant, do it. Good. That's the way to handle it.
Right. Exactly.
But these are still, they're deeply confused people with a philosophical handicap who need a magnet pointed at their head,
Right. Yes.
plugged into the 220 and left on for 24 hours. But they're still your brothers and sisters and the human family. So unless they're being demonstratively evil,
Right.
and behaving in a certain way in your business that would merit throwing them out.
And absolutely, if they stand up in the middle of your business and they say, and they start denouncing gay people,
Yeah.
out you go.
Throw them the fuck out.
Yeah, and if you get into a conversation with them, by all means, shame them as much as you want for the evil of the group.
Yep.
However, that's not the same as denying service. And the comparison between the Satanic Temple and what they do and this is I'm not sure that I understand that.
I think the difference is the Satanic Temple have kind of a mirthful they kind of invert the tactics,
Right.
in an ironic and humorous way.
Right. And
It's judo. It's kind of a comedic judo to say, look how dumb this is.
right. And their whole goal, the thing is that they are a religion. Like that's what they purport to be.
Right.
So it's different than being a business.
Yeah.
So they're saying they're pointing out the hypocrisy of these religious groups by just taking it to the extreme.
Right.
I don't see that as being analogous.
I don't see it as being analogous either. And
But I mean, yeah,
Yes.
I mean, he says that it's stooping to the level of the Christians. I say that it's just pushing the Christians to their natural conclusion.
it's satirizing,
Right.
the actions of the Christians.
Well, and just saying, here's, if you take it as far as it goes, this is what you're doing looks like.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, but thanks for the email.
Yeah. It's a good question.
It is. Chris wrote in to say, and I think that's that's Chris with a K, so I'm guessing it's a Goyle. So she says, like you, I spent most of this weekend trying to make sense of the reasoning behind the recent policy change of the Mormon Church, only to find myself as baffled and bemused as you sounded on episode 207. While the spirit of the law is nothing new from the church, the tactics and specific dictates were jaw-dropping, offensive, sad, and inexplicable. Because of this leaked information, I spent hours trying impotently to understand and soothe the anger of a longtime ex-Mormon friend. whose lovely, faithful dad can be described by thousands of complimentary adjectives, one of which is gay. I hugged my sister-in-law and told her I understand why she is resigning her calling on Sunday. This is a calling in the church is like a
job.
Yeah, you're a Sunday school teacher or something.
And people take it very seriously.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And never returning to her ward again. I cried real tears while reading the outpouring of real pain from real people with real families impacted by the way these in real ways by these measures. So she says she's been researching why this may have happened because she was very confused by this. I'm sort of going to paraphrase a little bit. And she said that she stumbled on, like she says that she wasn't satisfied by they're just a bunch of old guys in an ivory tower thought, and said, and so she stumbled on a blog post that you and I have both read. Her summary of which is that Dallin Oaks, who's higher up in the church, one of the big mucky mucks, lost his bid in the Supreme Court because their legal team couldn't prove any real harm to children as a result of same-gender parents. So he wrote up a policy which creates that harm in order to provide a legal defense for opposition to the marriages of gay parents in Utah's family courts. And she says she totally buys the theory. So it's interesting. So what the blog post said was, and this is from a lawyer.
Yeah, a guy named Joseph Hollenbaugh, who's a former Mormon and a lawyer.
And he was saying that in Utah family law, if there's a divorce and one parent, sort of traditionally in Utah, if one parent's going to be more religious and the other parent's not, they're going to side in terms of custody of a child. They're going to side on the side of the religious person to maintain the upkeep of the of that child's religious education, because everybody in Utah is Mormon.
Right, or should be according to the courts.
Right, exactly. And so now, this is an interesting theory, because now that the Mormon Church has said if you live with gay married or gay cohabitating parents,
right,
you don't get to participate as a child in all of the ordinances and whatever. It suddenly may give a Utah or surrounding state judge a reason to not give the child over. We've just learned. Yeah, they don't need an excuse.
No,
they don't need a reason. They're gonna deny it to the gay parent anyway.
I have experience in the Utah family courts.
Oh,
and religion, like the religion of the religiosity of both parents is very frequently discussed. And argument, parents will suddenly be very religious in order to win a custody battle. And there are many cases where there was this judge in Summit County who decided quite blatantly, well, I can't give the child to the father because he's not a Mormon anymore and won't take the child to church.
Right.
That was his reasoning, and he's a judge, so there's nothing you can do about it except appeal. So I think this dovetails perfectly with that story we covered in the beginning, where this judge is like, lesbian parents, ick.
Right, exactly. Well, but also research.
But and against the evidence of all the stakeholders.
Right.
Saying, no, everything's good.
Yeah, exactly. Like, everyone else involved is like, hey, we've got this thing solved. All we need is you to just rubber stamp it for us.
Right.
Everybody's just like, there's no opposing side here.
Nope.
There's just the pro side. Yep. So if you could just sign that, please. And he's like, what I'll sign is that baby has to go somewhere else.
Yeah. Even the Division of Child and Family Services, which a lot of times in these cases is considered the bad guy or the boogeyman.
Yeah.
They're like, no.
We fixed it. Right. There is no solution needed.
Right.
It is solved.
So how are the best interests of this 1-year-old girl being served by her court?
Yeah.
They are not. And I think it puts the lie to the idea that this is all about protecting children. Clearly it's not.
No.
Obviously. It's a coercive policy to try to force the parents to behave in a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they want to inspire all the gay men to go and marry a girl, like a good old-fashioned gay man, like gay men have been doing for centuries.
Yeah, like
And gay women also. Go find yourself a good man and be miserable for
And at
life.
the end of the day, if Mormons hate the gays so much, they've got to stop making so many of them. Jesus.
That's true.
Right?
You know, you go and you have 9 kids.
Odds are.
You're going to have some queer in there.
Yeah.
You're going to, I have a dear friend. He's one of 9, 2 of which are gay.
I know a guy, I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I know a guy he's of 7 siblings, Mormon family, rural Mormon family, all gay.
Holy crap.
Boys and girls.
They failed entirely.
Boom.
They failed entirely. My sister is a lesbian. We always joke because I'm pretty sure that if you polled everyone in the neighborhood that we grew up in, they would be almost positive that I would turn out gay, and it went the other way.
Your sister's a lesbian.
Yeah, I know.
So
gross.
you can't be baptized
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm grown enough that I think I
watch the papers. That's coming next.
That's the next one.
Yeah.
Hey, you two. This is from Justin. Hey, you two. During the recent Facebook AMAs, so this is a reference to in the members only lounge. Spontaneously, they started to do Ask Me Anythings with each other, so that they could learn more about each other because it's a cool community.
And you know what? They're members, and they can fucking do that.
They can,
right?
Yeah.
So sign up.
Apparently. He said, during the recent Facebook AMAs, I decided I wanted to start up my own little Reddit Gold kind of recognition system for the Facebook lounge. I don't know anything about Reddit Gold, but apparently it's a thing where if you like something, you donate a little bit of money to to Reddit. If you like something that you read on it, even if it's just somebody's comment or something, you donate to Reddit because, hey, thanks for bringing me this or whatever.
Okay.
Pretty much, I just wanted to say, hey, I appreciate your comment on the TGIA Members Only Lounge. I'm going to donate on your behalf. Reddit does $4, I think, but I want to do $6.66. But basically what he's saying that, you know, when he sees something that he really likes, he's got some apps that, you know, if he watches enough ads on his phone, then he gets some money and stuff. So that's apparently he's going to start donating that to us in honor of X person who did something cool, who said something cool in the members only lounge.
That is so unbelievably complicated.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? It's circuitous, but he did donate $6.66 to us. So for that,
Attaboy.
I thank you.
Attaboy.
And it's on behalf of one of the members, and I don't feel like I'm at liberty to really start talking about what's happening in a closed group in a public thing. So I'm not going to say what it's
pretty
about.
Freaky in there?
Well, you'd have to join Facebook to know.
I will never do it.
You never will.
Nope.
Because you're anti.
I'm a Luddite.
You are?
Yeah.
Stop ludding all over the place. Anyway, so if you guys want to participate in that, I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah.
If that's a fun way for you to donate every time somebody says something really cool or makes you feel awesome on the Members Only Lounge, please feel free.
You can donate for any reason.
But you can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
That's true.
You can donate if someone makes you feel like shit.
Right. If someone makes you feel horrible, donate. Basically, your first impulse whenever anything happens to you should be to donate to Thank God I'm Atheist.
Maybe I should join up just so I can go into the members only lounge and just hate on people all day to squeeze some dough.
I think your plan is not well thought out.
Let me think it through a little bit. Let's workshop it.
We'll do a beta test.
I want a beta test.
Okay. Anyway, if you do, by the way, want to donate to our cause, you can go to thankgodimatheist.com. There are ways to donate. On PayPal, you can donate a single sum, or you can go to our Patreon campaign and become a patron, which is a lovely thing to do, and we really appreciate it. So let's move on. We have... You and I were talking, and we were sort of discussing what we wanted to discuss as our final segment for the show today. And we stumbled on what I found to be a really interesting discussion, kind of about in-groups. We were talking about, the sort of, we got there a circuitous way. We were talking about the race problems that are happening in Missouri, in the colleges there, and we were talking, that doesn't necessarily relate to this show in a direct way. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about, we felt
like we need, like, that is such a huge story right now, and felt like we'd be remiss if we didn't somehow kind of connect to it.
Yeah. But it's not directly related. There's definitely religious overtones in racism, and racism in America has a strong religious tie.
Yeah.
But it just takes a little bit more research to draw those lines, and we're not experts on that.
Right.
But what we started to talk about was the fact that in all of these groups, it's especially in the United States, and I doubt that it's probably happening in other places, but I can really speak to the U.S. On this one. Whether you're consider yourself a feminist or an atheist or a religious person or whatever, mm-hmm. It started to get to the point where there are these purity tests for being a true-blooded member of our group.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because I had mentioned a little while ago, Sam Harris was getting into some real hot water. Mm-hmm. Sam Harris, the atheist philosopher and author and neuroscientist, and he gets into it a lot because he likes to talk about Islam in ways that people are very uncomfortable with.
Yeah,
and sometimes, and he's been accused on many occasions of being. I was going to say anti-feminist, but it goes all the way to misogynist, with the accusations, and he has said some things that probably aren't that are pretty uncool.
Yeah.
And so, and we were talking about how I on Facebook and in other venues, I'm sort of tied in with feminist groups and with feminist thinkers. And I just sat and watched while a bunch of atheist feminists renounced him as a human. Like, he says something that they don't like, which I'm fine with, and then he's gone.
Yeah, he's totally discarded, right?
None of his other thought means anything anymore because of this. Even Greta Christina, who's a blogger and author of some note in the atheist community, has started doing a series of blog posts where she's talking about atheist leaders who aren't Dawkins or Harris.
Right. Well, I bristle a little bit at the notion of leader. I think atheists tend to be far more cats than dogs. We're a little harder to kind of get control of.
Meow.
Meow.
I mean, yeah, we're not a group. We're not united by anything other than we all share the fact that we don't believe in a God.
And I think that is a great uniting principle.
Sure.
And so I too am really shocked by the kind of absurdity of the purity tests that are applied. Here's a great example. Just watching, the Republican nominating process. If you can stand to get the Clockwork Orange eyeball rig and get through a debate, I think it's the proper application of the no true Scotsman fallacy, right?
Exactly.
That no, you're not conservative enough. You failed conservatism. He's not conservative enough. And it's like, guys, these are right-wing crazy people.
Yeah.
What territory on the right is left to claim?
Yeah. It's crazy.
So
they invented a term for it. Like, this is several years old, the term rhino.
Rhino, yeah.
Which is Republican in name only.
Right.
They're being completely outward about it.
Right.
You are not Republican enough for us.
And there's 11 people or 12. I don't know fucking how many people are on the stage anymore. There's a bunch of men and one woman.
Yeah, like 50 or 60, I think.
And yes, and they don't disagree on anything, but they're standing up there yelling hateful things, and they're yelling at each other.
Right. The one guy who's disagreeing with them is Trump, magically, because he doesn't give a fuck about. He's barely aware that anyone else is in the room.
He's winging it.
Yeah,
His political philosophy is he's fucking winging it.
Yeah, his political philosophy is I'm so good that I couldn't possibly get anything wrong.
Yeah.
So what do I need to do? Prepare? Why?
And there's that poor nice old surgeon who's clearly had way too much Ambien. But basically they all agree on shit. So it's like, what purity test is the public applying to these people?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm loath to think that we do that in our groups, you know, in the rational, skeptical, feminist, liberal, gay kind of spectrum.
Especially since we're supposed to be the ones who are good at thinking.
Right.
Like we claim that ground for ourselves. Like we're the rational ones. We're the ones who are good at processing all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then, you know, somebody comes along who's not perfect.
Yeah.
Who disagrees with you and you know, says some bullshit stuff. And you know, we were going you were looking at some Dawkins tweets earlier.
They were pretty ham-fisted.
That dude should never tweet.
Yeah.
He should be banned from Twitter.
Yeah.
Cuz he's stupid.
He's an old guy.
Yeah.
He's an academic.
Yeah.
And he loves having long extended conversations. That's the place to say something like, with respect to those meanings of quote-unquote human that are relevant to the morality of abortion, any fetus is less human than an adult pig.
Right.
Don't do that in 140 characters.
Yeah, if you've given no context and you just throw that out there, that's not going to be good.
Yeah. And it's ham-fisted. You can fucking do it. I mean, you can do that, but it's really sloppy, and that's a conversation.
Right.
That's not just a declaration. Boop, send.
Yeah, and he said some genuinely, like, I think, bullshit things.
Right.
Like, you know, he said the thing about it would be immoral not to abort a Down syndrome baby.
In response to someone's tweet, he said, abort it about carrying the quandary of carrying a Down syndrome person. This person was having it.
Right.
Abort it and try again. It would be immoral to bring it into the world if you have the choice.
That's crazy talk. He basically steps in shit regularly on the Twitter platform. But
does that discount that Richard Dawkins has created a body of work and given us on the skeptical and the rational side, has given us a vast store of language and rhetoric and understanding of evolutionary biology, put in layman's terms that, you know, that's a very impenetrable subject to most people.
Yeah.
So we throw that big, weird, old, limey baby out with the kind of sour bathwater of some of these stupid things he said?
I think it's amazing that we can't make space for people who don't follow all of the lines that we want them to.
Right.
I see this among friends who are believing in anything. If you're a vegan, I see all these people who just can't believe, they can't fathom that anyone could not see their point.
Yeah.
It's this, and you know, so like I've seen vegans go after vegetarians who are you know, good vegetarians, but don't, you know, they still maybe have a pair of leather shoes or whatever.
Right.
And it's just like, you know what? There can be space.
Right.
For, like, feel deeply about it. That's fine. I get that. You feel really, really deeply about this thing. And, you know, someone said something horribly offensive to you.
Yeah.
And I get that. And they may be really wrong on that point.
Right.
Doesn't mean they don't belong in your group.
You know, it's... If, let's say, you are a vegan, lesbian, feminist skeptic.
Which I am.
You
are. I think we can all agree.
You qualify.
Sure.
It's a pretty lonely spot to be standing on. So
yeah, you're in a put upon group within a put upon group within a put upon.
And believe me, I'm not saying any of those things is a pejorative or a negative.
No, of course
what
not.
I'm saying is you are alone, fairly close to alone on the playground.
Yeah.
It seems that you would want more friends.
You would think.
I think, you know, and I'm a gay, outspoken atheist, very liberal. So I'm not in the loneliest. I'm not on the loneliest sandbox, but it can be lonely sometimes.
Sure.
if somebody agrees with me on 85% of everything, unless the one thing they disagree with is just bananas, like, well, I think we should put babies in meat grinders.
Right, exactly.
I'd be like, oh, that's kind of a major disagreement you and I have. But, you know, I just don't see why I would want to, you know, run them out of town on a rail.
Well, and the other thing is that and one of the things that I think is most important as a takeaway from this conversation is that it's, you know, if you disagree with Sam Harris's take on Islam, and you think that he's racist about Islam, and you think that he's just wrong on Islam.
Yeah. Well, if you think he's racist about Islam, you're wrong, because Islam is not a race.
Indeed.
Right.
Indeed. But if you think that his take on Islam is wrong in every kind of way, that in no way invalidates all of his other arguments.
Right.
And also, all he's doing is trying to participate in the discussion.
Yeah.
So great, disagree with him by participating also.
Participate.
Get in there and be like, I believe that you're wrong, and here's my reasoning.
Yeah.
But, I mean, all I read, you know, I tried to find a thing about Sam Harris and his the accusations of sexism.
Right.
And
You couldn't find anything?
No. I definitely found a lot. But what ended up being really weird was that I found a blog post, a feminist blog post, that was taking him to task. And I was very disappointed in it because it was all straw man arguments. That she would do a quote of his,
right,
and then say a bunch, like argue against a bunch of things that he didn't actually say in that quote.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's not great. Let me go to the source material. So she had a link that seemed like it was the source material.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'll just see what the context of what Sam Harris said was. Click that. It's another feminist blog post about Harris. And I kept clicking through. There's this echo chamber of blogs that aren't even referencing the original thing anymore. They're referencing each other's thing about the original thing.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things operative in that reaction, I think, and certainly one is incredibly understandable. Christians love to claim that they're persecuted in America, and maybe they are in, you know, Indonesia or whatever, but they're not in America. It's absolute bullshit. So people that are the people who have actually experienced persecution in this country, gay people of every stripe, trans people, just about any sort of woman you can imagine. I think there is a tendency sometimes you have to have your hackles up all the time.
Right.
Like when you're in this defensive crouch for so long. Yeah. It becomes hard not to see everything as just another attack.
And thank you for saying that, because it's totally understandable.
Right.
And I get that. That's so true.
It's hard to calibrate your reactions sometimes. And again, I'm in one of those groups.
Right.
You know, and so I can get sometimes my first reaction is like nuclear.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, I've been like, okay, well, I need to stop ruining every dinner party I'm ever at, or, you know, ruining every work meeting.
Right. Yeah.
And just kind of temper it. And so there's that. The other thing that I think is operative is the anonymity of online conversations. I think is changing the landscape of how we talk to each other.
Right.
Even person to person.
Right.
It feels like it's made the dialogue coarser and meaner.
It absolutely has. I don't think there's any denying that it has. I go to to our Facebook group, to the Members Only Lounge, the TGIA Members Only Lounge, which is what you can search on Facebook. It's a closed group.
Yes.
And I try very hard to keep it, like, the rules are explicit. There aren't many rules.
Right.
But the rule is that you have to be respectful of each other, of other people. You don't have to be respectful of ideas.
Yes.
But you have to be respectful of people.
Right.
And so that's absolutely non-negotiable. But yeah,
do a lot of fights break out? Is there a lot
it happens, and it's kind of amazing to me, because what people love about it is that respectful sort of take on things. But I'll tell you this: there have been people who have a dissenting opinion either, and there are a few issues where people are very passionate about opposite sides of the issue, and they're just used to yelling at each. Like once you're on the internet, it feels like what you're supposed to do is be like, well, fuck you, and you're awful.
Yeah.
Instead of instead of take a breath.
Yeah.
consider an alternate viewpoint and ask yourself why the fuck you're responding so
Yeah, I've been that guy. It's so easy to go down
We've
the rabbit.
all been that guy.
To go down the rabbit hole of comment sections and you see a troll being horrible, and then you suddenly, like 6 comments later, you're like, oh, I'm being that troll.
Yeah,
because the guy. There's a great German term called Backpfeifgesicht, which means a face in need of a fist. You know, and there's that guy is hanging out in every comment section and you know, after every article. And I just worry that it's part of, you know, how we're ruining how we relate to each other, and we're forgetting that you can disagree with somebody and have a completely cogent conversation.
right.
And respect their humanity and respect their personhood, and not, you know, be like, well, you're fat.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You're an asshole because I can't believe how much you disagree with me on this point. And so therefore you must be a dick.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Something I've always liked about Salt Lake City is because we all live in opposition to this very massive force.
Yes.
In one way or another. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you live in opposition to a certain big force if you live here in the Intermountain West. That has this wonderful gravitational effect of forcing all of these other communities into conversation that might not necessarily be in conversation.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've lived in cities where gay men and lesbians do not hang out together.
Yeah.
You know, they would never go to the same bar. Different groups, different types of gay men and different types of lesbians will hang out at yet again different bars.
Right. This is a bear bar. You don't want to go there.
And it's a specific bear bar, and this is a twink bar, and this is a butch bar. So, and it's not just the gay community; it's the immigrant community, it's the non-Mormon community, it's the Unitarians and the Church of Christ, and so there's a conversation that happens between odd groups of people,
right?
Because we're living in the shadow of the Death Star.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that's a great thing. Now, what would happen if that Death Star wasn't here? You know, would we be sniping at each other? Would we be ignoring each other? Would we? And I think that's symbolic of the idea of group.
It's amazing to me how prevalent the human impulse toward tribalism is.
Yes, absolutely.
How strong that impulse. Like, once I identify myself as part of a group, then anything that comes that seems like it's against that group becomes enemy.
Yeah.
And this is, I mean, you want to talk Dawkins, that's some evolutionary shit right there.
Yeah, you just dropped it, brother.
That's some go back to monkey times shit.
You just came down from the trees.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we that's still in us. But I think it's to be fought. I think that evolutionary mandate within us to find out-group members to be hostile and to take them to be your enemy. I think that is an evolutionary mandate that we, as a post-evolutionary species, because evolution doesn't really apply to us anymore. Because I say that because, you know, we choose things. Like, we don't let people just die. We don't even, you know, natural selection's trying to work with us.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. We don't let it.
I disagree a little bit because I think it's not something necessary to fight. I think it's something to be cognizant of.
Okay.
I think it's to be aware of it. It definitely had its purpose. You know, it definitely had its purpose. And in a way, like I always say, I talk about my young life and how long it took me to, quote unquote, find my tribe. Mm-hmm. Because the tribe I was born into, that wasn't my tribe.
Not your tribe.
So it took me a while to find it. And I think for young people who, you know, are out there kind of struggling in the same place, you got to find your tribe.
Yes.
That doesn't mean you defend it at the cost of all else. It just means you find a community of people that think enough the same as you, are in a similar place as you, for support.
And I think that
for love, for a friendship.
Yeah. I think you've hit on something that we're missing in this conversation. I don't want this to be an anti-find your group conversation.
Right.
Like the fact that there are in many places a club for just bears and a club for twinks or whatever. I think that can be great. You want a club that like suits your needs.
Yeah.
Fine.
And when you're out on the prowl, you know what you're looking for.
Exactly. When you want, you know,
go get that.
If there's a shop that carries only the things that you want, you're going to go to that shop rather than the one that might not carry it and has stuff that's kind of adjacent to what you want. I get all that. That's fine. Find your group. Find the people that make you happy.
Right.
But then don't see everyone else as an enemy.
Right.
Like they're not the rest of the world isn't, and you may have enemies in your life. There may be people who are working to make your life miserable.
God knows we do.
God knows.
Yeah.
I mean, most of you hate me, so that's fine.
I lock my doors.
But I just think that it's the impulse towards reviling those people who aren't in your group
and discounting that other people are on a journey like you.
Right.
Discounting that whatever their situation is, they're finding their tribe.
Right.
And if you can be as great a mind as Richard Dawkins and still be a fuck up, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what's beautiful about all of this is that like our most brilliant people are idiots about certain things.
Yeah. I was telling you a little bit before about how I was with a bunch of friends. I was working in Atlanta and we were having lunch and I'm a big, I'm a big admirer of a very religious man, Dr. Martin Luther King.
Sure.
And I was saying something about him, and a young person at the table said, well, he wasn't a straight-up guy. He wasn't a good guy because allegedly he had an affair or something.
Yeah.
And I just kind of looked at him and I was like, okay, well, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
Just fuck it. Any advancement that man made in our society and for our society, let's just chuck it.
Yeah, he broke broke a promise apparently to the woman that he cared most about. Let's just get segregation back then.
How dare this man have the wrong boner?
Right.
Yeah, back to Jim Crow.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a better time. And it was exactly that kind of stupid assumption.
Yeah.
That the only people who are of worth in this life or who we should follow or who we should respect must be flawless.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if we can't have perfect heroes, no heroes at all.
Yeah.
If you can't be Superman, then fuck you.
Yeah.
Which I feel passionately about this in part because God help them, some people might listen to a podcast and think that I'm worth listening to. And if you do that, you will eventually stumble on lots of my flaws.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is we're all idiots.
We're all sinners.
We're all sinners.
Yeah. Like if I ever got hauled in front of a court of law and, they played the story of my life, I feel pretty, and I'll bet a lot of people are in this place, I feel pretty good about who I am now.
Yeah.
It gets a little shaky as you go back in past. I said some dumb fucking things. I had some stupid opinions that the world needed to rub off of me by being in it,
Yeah.
And I needed to elevate my own consciousness and read a little bit and meet some different people and, have a different experience.
And there are people that I love who are just forever and obstinately wrong about stuff.
Right.
And there's a
name for that. They're what's that called? Parents.
Well, there's that too. Yes.
Right.
But I mean, it's just like, I don't have to exclude them from my friendship ring because they're so clearly wrong about something.
Right.
I can still hang out. We can still have dinner.
Yeah.
And every now and then this whatever this topic is will come up and we'll rehash the same things that we've talked about and whatever.
And it's not to say that there aren't people in your life or in the world that are truly toxic
and worthy of
shunning.
of kicking out of your life.
Yeah, there are bad people. There are mean people, there are cruel people, there are sadistic people. There are fanatics.
So
and you don't have to apply that yardstick to them and go, oh God, they're just this person's insane, but I got to keep trying.
Right, and there are people who are actually good people who you can exclude from your life because they're not good for you,
or they're too good and they make you look bad.
Right, exactly. Yeah, well, fuck those guys.
Fuck those. They're throwing the curve off.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, this isn't to say that you have to make your choices about who you hang out with. That's fine.
Yeah.
But this whole not atheist enough thing, you're not atheisting hard enough.
No true Scotsman,
Because there's, I mean, you kind of like to go back to church every now and then and you feel like you get something out of it, or you're not sure that there's no God.
Right, or you describe that you have had spiritual experiences.
Right. Or we were talking about, the whole LGBT community really not liking those T's and those B's.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of gay people who
Yeah.
reject bisexual people or
Yeah.
who reject trans people.
And it's really fucking disappointing because that, in a larger way, that is their tribe.
yeah.
You know?
And isn't the whole point, like, isn't what you were fighting for the right to fuck the person that you want to fuck? Isn't that what you were, like, sort of on about?
Right. Now, if
Or
you're
the right to be who you want, to who you are?
Yeah.
Like, so why? It's shocking to me how badly we all do this.
It's like when I meet a gay person who's also a racist. I'm what?
Right.
Like how have you missed all of life's lessons? You
Right.
know?
Right. And yeah, it's so there you go. I think we may have beaten this dead horse a little bit. I'm just baffled. I don't know how to describe this stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe you guys at home, they're listening at your work or on your commute, know a better way to think about this.
It would be interesting to hear people talk about their experience with purity tests, whether they were the victim of one or whether they applied them.
Right, and maybe you have maybe you feel that you have a very good reason why certain purity tests in your group are necessary.
Right.
And if so, write into us, podcast at thankgodimatheist.com, or go ahead and leave a voicemail for us. That's 424-666-8442. And then, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and come to the members only lounge where you are welcome even if you don't believe in gun control. But be really careful.
Well,
Be really careful if you want to talk about that. And
Yeah.
everybody get respectful. Please, you're killing me on this thing. I have to police this thing.
Yeah.
Respect each other or I have to kick you out. And I don't want to do that. And it hurts other people's feelings.
where's the love? Come on.
Yeah. Why are you hurting people's feelings? Just discuss things. So anyway, there's that. I want to thank Mackenzie for all of her hard work on the Facebook page. And thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music. Thank you, Mark, for filling in for Frank. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, it's been great to be here, and I hope Frank's project he's working on is successful, and we hope to see him back here soon.
Yes, indeed. And thank you, dear listener, for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Bye.